Hello everyone and welcome to the Icing Artist. My name is Jake and I run the YouTube channel The Vegetarian Baker. Today Lori's going to be making an Igloo cake for you with a salted caramel filling. That's where I come in. I'm going to show you guys on my channel how to make a salted caramel sauce that you could use for cupcakes, cake, ice cream, about anything that you want to sweeten up with caramel. So, when you finish watching Lori's video, make sure to go to my channel and check them out.
Thanks, Jake, for that awesome introduction. And by the way, guys, that caramel sauce is so good, so you definitely should go over there and check that out. Now, let's get started making this igloo with all the little wintry penguins.
So for my caramel cake filling that I'm going to make, I'm using 1 cup of Nutri-Rip, but you can also use a whipping cream. I'm just going to whip that up until it's light and fluffy, and I've already made Jake's awesome caramel sauce. So I'm just going to add in 1/4 cup into my whipped cream and then re-whip that up until it's nice and light and incorporated. And then you can go ahead and set that aside. Now I've already baked my cake and I'm just going to carve down my cake about 2 inches in, and you're going to go down on a diagonal line and then cut straight down your cake as far enough to hit that line. It sounds kind of confusing, but once I take that piece of cake away, you can kind of see where I'm getting at with that carving, and this to create the slope for the penguins to slide down. And I'm just going to do a light carving going around the edges of my cake just to soften up the lines a little. I've divided my cake into 2, and now I'm going to set the top aside, stick my bottom half to my cake just using some buttercream icing, and now I'm just going to pipe a border going around my cake just to hold in my nice caramel filling. And then you can put the top back on the cake. And then I just coated it in a nice thin coat of buttercream, just doing a nice little creme coat because we're going to cover it in fondant afterwards. And that's what it's going to look like when it's all covered. And I've just baked my Igloo into this oven-proof bowl. It's just a very small bowl. You can get them on Amazon and stuff, and it's just an oven-proof bowl that you can bake cakes in. And I'm going to do the same thing as I did with my other cake. I'm just going to divide that in 2 and pipe a border around it and then fill it with caramel. Put the top back on and then crumb coat it. I've just thinned down my buttercream a little bit for my crumb coat so it goes on nice and smooth. And now I'm covering my cake in fondant. So I've just rolled out some white fondant and I've laid it over my cake, and I'm just pulling it out with my hands and kind of rubbing it around and trying to make sure there's no air bubbles or anything. It's really nice and smooth and tight onto my cake. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess. I'm just going to mark out where my Igloo is going to go. And I'm just using straws as my dowels and supports to hold up the weight of my Igloo. And I'm going to do the same thing and just cover my Igloo with fondant and smooth it out. I also have full videos on how to cover a cake on fondant in my channel if you'd like to check that out as well. I'm just going to trim off the excess. Make sure there's no rough edges. And now I'm taking a veining tool. I'm just holding it in one spot and turning my turning table around so it's creating all these lines into my Igloo. I've created them almost a 1/2 inch apart. And then I'm just going to create little brick lines. So you're just going to stagger the lines between each layer of bricks. And you might find it helpful to look at a picture of an Igloo while you do this, because that's what I did. And then you can just stick that right on your cake. Now for the door, I've rolled out a little piece of gray fondant and cut it into a little door shape. And I'm just going to glue that on using some water. And then for the outside of the door, I'm going to roll out this little log and then flatten it out with my rolling pin. Wet around my door with water. And then I can stick that on. And then again with my veining tool, I'm just going to create little lines. And that's what the Igloo looks like when it's all done. Now I've already made my penguins. I have a video that I did and shows you exactly how to make these penguins start to finish. I'll leave a link for that at the end of the video if you'd like to see how to make them. And now I'm going to dress them up in those really cute winter clothes. So first we can make a scarf. So I've just rolled out some blue fondant. I'm going to cut out a really long strip, kind of like a long rectangle, and rough up the edges a little bit to make it look like it's frilled. And I'm just going to wet around the penguin's neck and then wrap the scarf around him. You can have a lot of fun with the clothes and make them look a lot different and really cute, different colors, whatever colors you want to bring into. You can have a lot of fun with them. And I've made this little baby penguin, so I thought instead of a beak, I'd give him a pacifier. So I've just put a little ball of fondant onto where his beak would go and then wet that and put another ball of fondant there. I thought that was really cute. And for his head, I'm going to give him a little baby hat. So I just have a disc, just a circle of fondant that I'm going to put on his head. I've cut out another strip, a very small strip of fondant, just in a different kind of color. Make it stand out a bit. I'm going to wrap that around his head, and then I'm going to put a little pom-pom on the top. And there's the little penguin hat. I'm just going to make some cut lines going around the band, going around his head. And then just use the tip of my knife just to rough up his little pom-pom. For the earmuffs, I just have two little balls of fondant. I'm going to push it down with my fingers, and that's going to create those little discs. I'm going to roll this out with my fingers. So I'm just rolling back and forth, moving outwards. And I'm just going to cut a little piece, make sure it's the right size, and then flatten that out so it lays nicely on my penguin's head. Wet it with some water. And then you can stick that on your penguin's head. And then add your little earmuffs on. And just like we did with the pom-pom, you can rough them up a bit. And I also decided to make a little hat that was going to be kind of fallen down the slope, like the penguin's hat went flying off of him. So you just make a little teardrop shape and cover that one end in a strip of fondant and make another little pom-pom. And for the mittens, I've made two little circles and cut off the one ends and covered those in a little strip of fondant as well. Lots of little rectangles and strips and circles, lots of different shapes, and you just kind of add them together and layer them up to make all the clothes. Some more little cut lines there. Add a little bit of water. And then you can stick those on the penguin's flippers. I guess they're not really hands or arms. I guess they're called flippers. And you can wrap those around him. He's so cute. And before I stick my penguins down to my cake, I lay them all out first to make sure I like where they are and that they all fit properly and they don't look too off balance. And once I'm happy with the arrangement that I've done, you can start sticking them down with water. So I'm just going to add a little water on the bottom of my penguin and then stick that down to my cake. And when you're sticking it down, just give it a little twist so you know that they're stuck in place. And for the ones on the cake board, water is not going to stick them down to the cake board. So I'm just using some piping jelly or gel paste, and that's going to help stick them down to the cake board, as well as all these little snowballs and snowmen and all your different decorations. Have a lot of fun with this one because you guys can make any kind of winter scene or any kind of decoration you like and make them really custom and fun. And there's my penguin cake with the little igloo and the little baby penguin.
I honestly had so much fun making this cake. I've wanted to make it all year round, and now finally it's Christmas season, I can make it. But I think all the different clothes on the penguins really make them stand out, like little penguin mittens, because penguin wears mittens. I hope you guys have fun dressing up your own penguins at home, and have a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, guys.
And again, don't forget to head on over to the Vegetarian Baker's channel where he's making for you a salted caramel sauce. And here is the link for the penguins to learn how to make those little 3D penguins. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.